You're ready for Let's Talk Progress, a new uplifting show on Q95 every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Hosted by United Progressive Party. Together for Progress.
Me down to life in battles breathe, not leading me the quiet spine. My soul hungers for again, and me to walk of stay within the path of righteousness, even for his name's sake. Yeah, no, I walk in the dark place, it will I fail, oh, in thy rod and staff, they are with me, they surely comfort me. Oh, my table, oh, has been in the presence of my foes. My head go up and up with oil, my cup it overflow. Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me. And in just my dwelling place must be. Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me. And in the host forevermore, my dwelling place shall be.
All right, folks. Yes, we are here. A little late start, but we are here. Let me see a special greetings and welcome to all of you locked into the big station at this time. Once you hear this number about that time on a Saturday, then you know the UPP, the United Progressive Party's program is on. That is how sometimes we choose to introduce, as it were, the Holy Spirit among us. And tonight is no different. So welcome one and all. Tell Lou to tell Sue, tell Paul to tell all. That your program, yes, the United Progressive Party's program is on. And we welcome each and every one of you in a very, very big way tonight. The 9th of May, 2026. Tomorrow, as the world celebrates mothers among us, we at the United Progressive Party, we want to wish all mothers out there in advance, that is, happy day when that time comes around tomorrow. The numbers to call into the program sometime later when we do open up these lines, they are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. The DG line, it is 616-4257. Those of you overseas and want to chime in here, your number is 305-432-9624. Again, let me just repeat these numbers to call on air into the program tonight. They are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. The DG line, the DG designated line, 616-4257. And those of you overseas and want to call in, your number 305-432-9624. Again, welcome one and all. All those already on the live feed, good evening to you in a very special way. A very, very informative program, as always, awaits you guys out there. So just, yes, keep it locked to the sport you got, as we're about to take flight in just a bit. To all the members of the United Progressive Party listening at this time, a special good evening to you folks. I call you guys the engine room, as it were, of the party. Thank you very much for your hard work in the back. We have Mr. Joshua Francis with us here as well tonight. No stranger to us in Dominica. Gone through a very trying time this week, I can tell you that. But the brother is standing. And so just maybe he'll share some of that with you tonight as well, of this ordeal. So I ask you guys to keep him in your prayer. But he continues to do work for and on behalf of the people of Dominica. And so to all his fans, all his friends out there, all his loved ones, good evening to you folks in a very, very big way as well. The Kali Nago people, good evening to you. So if your cup is overflowing at this time, a special greetings to you and welcome again. If that cup is running dry as well, good evening to you in a very, very special way. Whatever level that cup is at this time, be it financially, economically, medical-wise, health-wise, whatever it is, we thank you for your eyes and ears this evening on this United Parties program. Without saying much more from me, let me hop across now and say a special good evening to the man himself, CTD already, and ready to go, Mr. Joshua Francis. Good evening to you, my bro.
Hi, good evening, Lofty. How are you doing this evening?
Well, I am holding on, as I normally say, in spite of the many, many challenges, but, you know, I'm holding on.
Yes, indeed. We're in the land of the living.
Power of the Almighty, yes.
Amen. And good evening to our listeners, wherever you are. We hope that you're having a very good evening. And we want to say thank you for joining us. Let us hope we have a very productive and interactive program tonight.
Yes, indeed. Josh, as I said before, the week was a bit trying, still a bit trying. How is that thing going? How is that situation going so far?
Well, on my end, it's another day, and I'm grateful for seeing another day and looking forward for another day. At this stage, Lofty, I am just grateful that I'm alive. And I'm not flustered. I'm not daunted. I'm not discouraged. I'm just very, very grateful that I'm alive. And I'm also grateful for all the love and the support that I have been getting from friends and family and clients. A lot of love. I am doing well, Lofty. I'm doing well.
You're doing well.
Yes.
That's good to know, Josh,
Yes.
that you're doing well.
It is well.
All right, it is well. I'll play that number for you in a while, Josh. That song, It Is Well With My Soul. Yeah,
It is.
There's a message behind that song as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll punch that before we make a start here for you and others who have been going through.
Oh, yes. I mean, my heart goes out to those who suffer significant losses. The Haitian brothers, this gentleman from Kingshill, his family, the business owners, the home owners. I must say that my heart reaches out to you. And just continue to be strong, continue to be courageous, be positive, look at the brighter side, know that better days are ahead. Sometimes things must be brought low for us to go higher. And there's a saying that the phoenix rises from the ashes. And in that case, literally, property will taken down into ashes. But there will be restoration. You know, there is a scripture in the book of Joel which says that what the canker worm has eaten will be restored. And in the book of Romans 8:28, it says that the bad that was meant to happen to those who trust in God will be for the better. Just paraphrasing. So that situation may cause betterment for all those involved. It's a question of how we respond to it. Thus far, I myself have responded very positive to it. It has exposed some of my concerns that were already there in terms of fire management, um, fire coordination, those sort of things. The response of the fire departments, the way in which they respond to situations that were transpired, and just generally the way in which we investigate those matters, the rapidity with the response from officials and departments responsible for situations of that nature. So I learned more, and at this stage, Lofty, I just want to say that it is well.
True.
Yes.
And on that note, Josh, let me at this time take some time off just to punch this number, as I said, as you alluded to earlier. It is well with the souls of a number of people out there who suffered loss in some way, shape, or form.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. Though Satan should buffet, though trial should come, let this blessed assurance control.
Josh, this number here playing now, It Is Well With My Soul. It has a very powerful message behind it, huh? Where this lawyer, it is well, named Mr. Spafford, basically lost everything, huh? Whilst traveling by sea, going to see his wife. The boat sank.
Wow.
My sin not in part, but the whole
And he was, I believe, the lone survivor.
is nailed to the cross, and I
And added to that, Josh,
no more,
he got the news where his house that he left back home,
Lord.
like you and others in Dominica, was also consumed by fire.
Fire. Oh boy.
And he, being this man, believing in the one above, he said, in spite of the circumstances, it is well with my soul.
Oh, yes.
Hence that number. That is the storyline in a nutshell behind this number entitled, It Is Well With My Soul.
When my faith shall be sight, the clouds be rolled back as a scroll.
So, folks, if you have to call in, numbers are 449-3095, 3096, 3097. You can make that call about now. We'll leave the lines open for the next 5 minutes thereabout.
Even so, it is well with
and we'll move on from there.
It is well with my soul. With my soul, it is well. It is well.
So to all of you hurting at this time in one way, shape, or form, it is well. Yes, it is well with your soul. Indeed. Let's take this caller on this line. Caller, good evening to you.
Yeah. Good night. I call Joshua personally. I just want to say it on the public record. Yeah, and to emphasize the feeling in this loss because Joshua and Peter Allen is two lawyers. When I used to be in my runnings in the law, pro bono, I maybe have about 50 million US for Joshua and Peter Allen all together. So I just want to put it on the record and don't worry about that. Everything is everything. Once you have life, you have everything. So to God be the glory. Joshua, you know already. Hold it down. Respect Lofty.
All right, my brother. Alistair Irish, man. Good evening to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Alistair. Thank you, Alistair.
Stacy Daru and others on the live stream. Good evening to you, folks. So we'll take about 3 more minutes on this greetings line.
My sin not in part, but the whole is nailed to the cross.
Let's go to another caller here. Caller, yes, good evening. You're on.
Good evening, Lofty. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Okay, this is Joanne here, and I just want to say to Joshua, just continue to be strong, continue to hold strong, and just know that we, the members of the UPP, we stand with you, we stand in solidarity with you, and just continue to do the good work that you're doing, and we will continue to rally around you as you continue to fight for the people of Dominica. So just have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne.
You're welcome.
Powerful tonight, Joanne. Good evening to you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening, Lofty. Good evening.
Thank you, my dear. Another caller is on this line. Caller, yes, you're on. Good evening to you.
I love you. Good night, Mr. Joshua.
Hi, good evening.
Sorry for your loss, but I know it is well with your soul.
It is well.
You are
It is
good
well.
man. God will bless you every day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I'm calling from Yampus, Romel's mother.
Oh, very well. God bless you.
Okay, have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
All right, indeed.
Of His glorious thought, my sin not in part, but the whole is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord, oh my soul.
I met a lady in the Point Michel area earlier this week. Good evening to you, ma'am. Good evening to you in a very special way. And yes, it's the little man with the big voice. That lady freaked me out, Josh. I went to do some work for her, and she said she was expecting a big man, but a little man came, and she was so, enthralled to see me, and we had a nice chat.
Yes, that's good.
So
That's
good evening to you, ma'am, wherever you are this time. Special greetings to you, yeah? Thank you for the chat this week, yeah?
Oh, boy.
The clouds be rolled back.
All right, folks, about a minute of this number, and then we got to shift gear.
The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul.
Tonight, we're going to deal with some bread and butter issues, as it were.
It is well with my soul. With my soul, it is well.
And also a message of hope to all you people out there. Yes, Josh. Just give us a little line before we close off. It is well with your soul, Josh. Just
Yes.
sing along, Josh, sing along.
It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. You know, it is well, Lofty.
Yes, indeed.
And you see that line that says, I think there's a line that says, whatever my lot,
Mhm.
thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. I mean, love to think of it. You know, those of us who read the Bible, try to put yourself in the position of Job. You know,
Mhm.
you start to lose property, and then you start to lose flesh, you lose children, you lose your fortune. Your wife eventually says to curse God and die.
Mhm.
You hung around and you said, no, you're going to keep trusting in your God. And that the end of it was what, Lofty? Restoration.
Mm.
And likewise with Jesus.
And in a very bountiful way as well.
Oh,
huh?
yes. When Jesus was on the earth, God walking in the flesh, he too confronted a lot of trials and tribulations to the point where he called on God. You know, there were times he was tempted. There were times he was like, why am I doing this? Why am I up there suffering because of the sins of man? But he endured till the end. And that's the message I would like to punctuate tonight for all of us, because people go through challenges in different ways. Some people go through financial challenges, emotional challenges, physical challenges, spiritual challenges. But no matter what it is, think of those biblical characters. They hung in there and eventually they were restored and they were rewarded.
True.
Let us endure till the end.
True. Caller, yes, good evening to you on.
Good evening. I just called to say good evening and to tell Josh I love him and I don't have to tell him to be strong because I know he's strong. Lofty, I love you too. You are both my sons. I love all you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear. Thank you very much. Susanna, good evening to you. Thank you.
Thank you. We love you too.
Very
we love
faithful,
you too.
very
Definitely.
faithful, Susanna.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Josh, but about that time, we have to switch gear. And so, yes, we want to again welcome each and every one here, especially those of you on the live feed here, for your engagement tonight. Josh, tonight we want to deal with some of the issues in Dominica as it relates to, the average Dominicans, the issues that really affect Dominicans in one way, shape, or form. Some people choose to call it the bread and butter issues.
Yes.
I know your man, you're on the ground, you're a lawyer, as Alistair Collan said before. I know you help a lot of people, especially young men at the court, pro bono, that is.
Yes.
And so you are privy to a number of situations that affect the ordinary man every day in Dominica. How would you want to start? Where would you want to start with that conversation as it relates to some of the issues that especially the young people face in Dominica?
Well, I would start by identifying the realities on the ground and try to understand why the reality it is what it is. But before I do so, Lofty, let me take the opportunity to reach out to all Dominicans in the East, the North, the West, particularly the people of the Roseau South constituency, the people of the Kalinago territory, Atkinson and Trestle, Concord. I hope that you're having a good evening. And I want to say a special happy birthday to Kimberly Daru. I hope you had a good day and you'll have even a greater evening. But Lofty, we're in a situation in Dominica where a lot of people are suffering quietly. And we have to be on the ground to hear the stories and to appreciate what people are going through. You have been on the ground. You go on the ground to talk to people. You go on the ground to work, and you hear the stories. People are struggling. People have had a lot of financial burdens, a lot of financial stress. And we know that money is power. We know that our lives are connected to money. And when people do not have money, it creates multiple problems. It creates a spiraling effect, a domino effect. And it is no surprise that a lot of Dominicans are hypertensive and diabetic because the inability to eat properly fuels medical problems. Lofty, the problem is even more grave in the rural places of Dominica. As you know, the rural places have undergone structural changes. At one time, we had banana production. Agriculture was happy, but over the past decade or more, we have seen the death of agriculture in certain areas in Dominica, on the eastern belt of Dominica, particularly places like Dalis, La Plaine, Casibros, the Kalinago territory. So, with the decline in agricultural production and the absence of factories, the absence of agro-processing, the absence of productive wheels and productive sectors in those rural places have caused less money in circulation. And with less money in circulation, families are finding it very hard to survive. That is compounded with the fact that the price of food has been on the increase, price of utility on the increase. Recently, we had to absorb an increase in the price of fuel, increase in electricity cost, increase in transportation cost. Now, thus far, the customers, the passengers moving from one area to the other have not had to pay more. But at some point, if this fuel price increase continues, that would be the obvious result. Even the importation of food, if the current global environment were to stay as it is, or as it is in the Middle East, if the situation worsens, or in Ukraine, then the food prices are again going to increase, and that is just going to cause more stress. And love to hear the stories. People having difficulty pay their mortgages, people having difficulties to buy basic medicines, and that is another issue, because we have a situation where our hospital has not been able to provide basic stuff. And families have to absorb the cost. And in some situations, people just do not have it. And I wonder whether some of the persons who pass away at the hospital could have been saved had their families had the financial resources to provide or to expose them to better care. In some cases, persons could have been flown out. And in some cases, the absence of basic medicines could have triggered more complications. So, as I said earlier, the absence of financial power or capital power can cause a domino effect. And we're hearing the cries. You see it on many people's faces. You see the fear. You hear the sadness. Dominicans generally are jovial people. They will laugh. They will crack a joke. They're friendly. But behind that, a lot of people are going through pain.
True.
And that's why we're here tonight, because we want to see a difference. We want to make a difference. But for us to make a difference, we first have to understand what we're trying to change.
True.
And the situation here in Dominica can be very grim. And we hear it every day. And it's not just, households. You hear these stories from entrepreneurs, small businesses. You hear the small businessmen telling you how difficult it is to pay their rent, to pay their employees. People have had to exit the market because they were not able to sustain business.
On that note, Josh, let me say good evening to my brother, Mr. Beno. That is the brother of Mr. Christmas. He used to do his little smoke chicken business. I saw circulating this week that unfortunately so, he had to go out of business.
Yeah, and that is sad. This is a gentleman who was in banking. He left that area, went on his own, and attempted a business. Now, one of the criticism of the Black culture, we Black people and Kalinago people, is that we are not entrepreneurs. We do not like to invest. We are more consumers. We are not wealth creators. Sadly, the demographics in Dominica and the culture has worsened things for even those who wish to be entrepreneurs. Because when a man decides he's going to start a small business, he should be supported. He should be provided with necessary facilities, necessary financial support, necessary technical support. And after a period of time, he should be able to blossom. And the business in which the gentleman was involved in is not like there is competition. One would have thought, given that he's was maybe the main producer of smoked chicken, that it would do well. But we have to look at this from different dimensions. It's one thing as a producer to go out there and to provide the service or the product. The other question is whether there is a demand for the product. And if there's a demand, whether the product is a need or a want. Because if somebody has $10, he's going to spend it on needs first before he looks at wants.
Yeah.
And therefore, service providers and product providers, if their goods or services are not needs, they are more likely to suffer.
True.
So you find a pharmaceutical society, it is more likely to be sustainable. And matter of fact, in crisis, industries like the pharmaceutical society may do better because people have more stress.
Yes.
People are, are sick. People are looking for remedies, and therefore more drugs are being sold. But people eat more bread in crisis like that. Dominicans generally eat a lot of bread, and that may explain why hypertension is on the rise. People cannot afford to eat meat every day. People cannot afford to buy greens. So we're really in a situation, Lofty, where we have to examine ourselves, and we have to understand that some of the problems we have is as a result of mismanagement of this country.
True.
Because Dominica could be in a much better place.
Yeah, let's take that call on the line, and then I'll ask you a question or two. Caller, yes, good evening to you, the United Progressive Party's program you're on.
Yes, good night, Lofty.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Just good night to you.
Hi, good evening. Good evening.
I just want to give you strength. I know I don't want to really go back down the road, but in your trials, I said I just want to give you strength in your trials.
Oh, yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I said I really want to go back down that long road, because everybody knows what happened.
Right.
And in life, you have to have trials, eh?
Oh yes.
I know you're a strong man, but just I want to follow up on what you have just saying about small business. I'm a small business person on the road. I do manufacture different products, oil, powder, nutmeg powder, moringa. Those products I know people need. And you're touching a very vibrant point. When you look at Roseau today, as Mother's Day, everybody set up a little booth to sell something for mothers. But just one of the things I would want you to do, not even use some other business people. There's like today, a private reporter supposed to be on the street reporting and getting information from the small business people, how business are doing, and even in the market, so that you can balance it. You don't get one person idea, you get different person idea. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how you're going to measure things. So then Joshua wouldn't be blamed, Loftus wouldn't be blamed, Q95 wouldn't be blamed. Because this is serious time and this is not politics, And the kind of things we see happening around us is going to send us insane, because some people are going to cope with it, Josh. And this is what I was telling earlier on to one of our another media person. Prayer is an important tool now, Josh.
Oh yes, significantly.
Just look at what happened in Antigua, Josh. You wake up, your house there good, and in another second, this is signs, Josh. Those things are, because I'm from that area up there, and I never see those disasters there. And I live in a riverside, and I had to abandon that place, because twice a year you would lose a lot of things, and it was mostly us, because we was in the river park. That's a place in Marigot Dam. Serious loss, and I just had to abandon there, because I see that take my uncle's son one night in the river. He fell in the river and hit his head. That's Russell James from Marigot. He's a while now. And the same night the river come down in. And the river was trying to take another brother, a couple of years later in a house sleeping in. The whole village had to come and stone down the house to wake up the man, And the river take everything out of the house, the man to wake up just. So just based on what you're saying there, this is not politics. And if you look at our kind of politics, this is not politics. This is invoking bad spirit. You see that every day getting up and chanting, hate Josh, hate Skerrit, hate Thompson. That is not politics. That is chanting. That is when you're invoking bad spirit. Are you there with me?
Yeah, we are listening.
Yeah, man, this is not politics. Politics, I remember politics when these elderly men used to have politics in Marigot, like Mr. Stephen and Frank Barron and Amanda.
All right, caller, in the interest of time, we don't want to rush you off, but you have to, sort of bring home that point, for us to move on. Thank you.
To summarize what Josh said, and you have to keep that kind of legacy. Don't go me too much of this arrogantness in your politics. Just keep it simmer down. And I know you're not a kind of arrogant man. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you, caller.
All right, caller.
Yeah,
thank
man.
you very much.
Cool.
Point made, point taken indeed. Josh, some of what the caller said, or all of what the caller said rather, is very much on point. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely, Lofty. One of the things that we could do is to identify the number of small businesses that we have and look at the pattern. Look at the number of small businesses that we had in the 80s, 90s, and in the 2000s. Now that we're in 2026, and we can see whether there are more small businesses or the same number or more small businesses. Just looking at the situation, I would think there are less small businesses. You have some people doing basic things at their homes, but as far as job creation is concerned, having businesses out there and employing people and producing, and don't even talk about export.
A matter of fact, Josh, not tripping you, there were a number of small businesses, not that we want to glorify or sort of amplify, as it were, small businesses closing down, but we have to, as you said before, look at our reality and try to confront our reality head on. There were a list out there, I think about a year or 2 years ago. I guess my brother John Blanchard will help me right there, because he always, pushes that point about a number of small businesses that were closed, and obviously much more have been added to that. So I will try to make it my responsibility as host here, maybe another program, to punch some of these businesses out there, so that they say repetition builds reputation, so that people can know exactly what we have been dealing with from whence to now in terms of the closure of a number of small indigenous businesses in Dominica.
Oh yes, Lofty. And in some cases, even in Marigot, you have seen the exit of branches of businesses.
Yes.
From the Marigot market. Portsmouth, same thing.
Yeah.
Cassibros. You remember the days when Marigot had a branch of courts. Marigot had an office where you could service your utility bills.
Yeah.
Marigot had businesses. Today you go to Marigot and you realize that some of those businesses have left the market. Portsmouth, same thing. Cassibros, same thing. So it is clear, it is evident that when you look at certain places, you see an economic dying situation, as they would say, economic graveyards.
True. And some of what the policymakers / the government tend to cower behind, try to get some cover, they say that is happening around the world. So Dominica is no exception. You hear them say as well, for example, the Strait of Hormuz is closed as we speak. The petroleum products will go up as a result of that. That is no fault of Dominica per se. There's this ongoing war with Iran and Ukraine, as you mentioned before. So these shocks out there, external shocks, that is, they are the ones contributing mainly to our situation in Dominica. That is what some of the politicians hide behind. How would you put that at the layman's feet so that they could understand that situation, that response rather, is not really and truly why we are where we are?
Yeah, well, let's look at the lifespan of those wars. The Ukraine-Russia war is just about 4 years old, and the Iran war, the US war, is less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year.
So before those wars, we already had those issues in Dominica, the high cost of living. What has happened, post-COVID, has exacerbated or worsened the situation.
Yeah.
And those wars, yes, we have no control over external shocks. We're just a little teeny landmass and a teeny population. So when those external shocks hit, we then have to find a way to respond to them. Now, the best way to analyze Dominica in context of our situation when we talk about other nations and other countries is to compare Dominica to St. Lucia, to Antigua, to St. Kitts, to St. Vincent. We are in this economic bloc called the Eastern Caribbean countries, OECS. We share a common banking system. We share Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. We share our court system. When you look at our bloc, you realize that Dominica is last in many economic categories. We have the least foreign direct investment. Why? Why is it that investors don't see Dominica as a fertile ground to plant investment seeds or to sow investment seeds? Why is it that investors do not look at Dominica and feel that they want to come here to invest? We have to ask ourselves those questions. Now, obviously, our cost of electricity is very high. And if someone wants to invest, especially if it is capital intensive, meaning less labor and more equipment, then he's not going to go into a jurisdiction or into a country where the cost of electricity is very high, because electricity would be one of the inputs that he needs to produce.
Yeah.
And then you look at the cost of doing business. Is it that our registry system is very efficient? Our company's registry system is very efficient. Our transportation system is efficient. Getting goods to and out of Dominica, what's the cost of that? Custom duties, is it encouraging? So those are some of the questions that one must ask to understand why we are where we are. The reality is, Lofties, external shocks have always been present, and they're not going to stop. Disasters have always been present. Now, climate change, as some scientists describe the current situation with weather patterns, is more of a recent phenomena, but it's not 5 years old. That phenomena has been part of academic circles for over a decade. So, in spite of all those realities, St. Lucia has found a way to develop. St. Vincent has found a way to develop. And we have policymakers here in Dominica who keep looking for excuses after excuses. So yes, we have those external shocks, but the bigger problem in Dominica is the mismanagement of our economy, the direction that we took. The government here took a decision to sell passports, make easy money. And when those proceeds came in, a lot of it stayed out of Dominica, because the government of Dominica entered into an arrangement with one man represented by a company, MMCE. And people must understand that. You're a company, MMCE, but there's only one shareholder. I don't know whether things has changed, but for many years, we had one shareholder, one owner. So although there is a distinction from the shareholder and the business, but really, from a natural point of view, one man was given enormous power, whereby he was granted exclusive rights to sell passports and the proceeds to be used for special projects in Dominica. Years ago, when the Prime Minister was asked and cornered to give us answers, he spoke about a third option, because right now, when we talk about the CBI program, there are two main options. You have the economic diversification option, which really is a contribution option, whereby when one citizenship is sold, the coffers of Dominica are supposed to say $100,000. If it's a family purchase, $250,000. So this guy was given, contractual privileges to sell our passports and to withhold the proceeds, except the administration and legal fees involved. And that proceed would have been used for special projects. Of course, we know the story. And then you have the other option, which is the real estate option. So you have this project, which was completed at Lalekoko Ocean Oasis. Everybody knows that this gentleman, Mr. Capitole, was, he and his company were given $75 million. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is what I saw circulating
Right.
on some documents.
Right. It was never refuted, except that the gentleman said that the project took less money. And the question is, so what happened to the rest of the money? Because he would have been assigned a certain number of passports to generate that revenue for that project. So you have the real estate and the diversification option. But then you heard about the third option, which is not documented. There is no law saying that there is a third option. There's no regulation anywhere in Dominica, but the Prime Minister found a way to speak about third option and to support that with clauses from the Constitution of Dominica, which speaks about special projects. Because once we sell citizenships, that proceeds supposed to go into our consolidated funds. But the government has found a way to say, well, not everything, because we can put money in another fund for special projects. And the court of law will make a decision on that question, because as we speak, the United Workers' Party took that matter before the court and put the question before the court as to, one, we need to see the contracts that were made between MMCE and the government of Dominica. Number two, we have concerns about this company withholding proceeds from the sale of our passports. Those money are supposed to be in our consolidated funds. So who is right and who is wrong?
I'm hearing Josh on that
Mhm.
note. Mr. Ambrose George, acting prime minister in 2014, went to parliament and sort of made some arrangement with his escrow account where these monies that you're talking about are held, and they found some legal cover for that arrangement based on what you're saying now. Any thoughts on that?
Well, yes, that is where I am saying the Constitution. I don't have a copy of the Constitution here, but justification is being given to a constitutional provision talking about special projects. Because, Lofty, let's just keep this simple. A passport, Dominican citizenship, should be considered a public good.
Yeah.
Because all of us own a passport. Well, entitled. You may not have a passport, but you're entitled to a passport as a citizen of Dominica. So that to be considered to be a public good. Once a public good is sold, the proceeds of sale supposed to go into the consolidated funds. Now, in every area of law, there are exceptions, but the exceptions must not be contrary to the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution of Dominica. And even where letters may appear to justify an action, one has to look at the spirit and the end result of the action. Because a law may say that it's okay to swim in the ocean at midnight. But if every midnight sharks are in the water, you're talking about shark infested water, then you should not go in the water, because commonsensically you put yourself in danger.
Risk, yeah.
Likewise, as far as the sale of our citizenship, it is unjustifiable in the interest of Dominicans to accept that one man was given that privilege to sell our citizenships, withhold monies, put them into banks, private banks out there, and to control that money out of the oversight of our parliament. That is just wrong. And you would hear government officials say, well, MMC has built schools and has built clinics and has built social houses, etc. And that is true. But we do not know how much MMC made, what was the cost or the expenditure of building those projects, what were their profit margins, and where the proceeds are kept. And we should be entitled to such information. After all,
Yeah. And I believe it's around that same time, Josh, God bless this brother, Mr. Lennox Linton, asked for some kind of tabulation as to these funds that we're talking about. And the Prime Minister came in public radio and basically said that in due time, proper accounting will be done into those funds. And up till now, nothing at all.
Well, there could not be proper accounting because, again, the sales of our citizenships went on for many years without parliamentary oversight. And I would not be surprised if those sales were the records, the accounts were provided to the government of Dominica. And and that is just part of a larger concern, Lofty, because when those passports were sold, the gentleman who received the funds, he had total control over those funds. So after he pays the administrative and legal fees associated with the sale of each passport or citizenship, he being in charge, he could decide what to do with those funds based on the advice that he would have gotten from cabinet to build a number of clinics, build a number of schools. Then again, we do not know what is the costing. We do not know what is the leftover or the profit margin. What we know and we suspect, well, I would say that we suspect, is that after his expenditures, some of that monies would go under the table to certain politicians. The question is, as an example, we're using it as an example, where does Labour Party get its money? Over the past few elections, we have been hearing about $27 million.
In 2019, George, there was this magic figure, enormous figure of $70 million.
Right.
That the Labour Party never refuted. How can a party that does not sell barbecue chicken by the road accumulate 70 million, $1 million per person as per our population? What math is that?
Yeah, exactly, Lofty. So where did they get that money? Where did they get that money? Is it okay and cool for us to be in a country where certain persons can raise that amount of money and we do not ask the question? Remember, that question was asked to the Prime Minister many years ago, and his answer was, go to hell. It's not your damn business.
3 times.
You understand? Go to hell. And that question is still relevant and even more relevant than yesterday because we are dealing with a very rogue government, a very corrupt government. People sometimes say, don't talk about corruption. Everybody is corrupt and every area has corruption. That is unacceptable. We cannot continue with that thinking. We're seeing the result of that thinking because some of us think it's cool or it's okay for a politician or for a prime minister to take monies that belongs to the state and put some in his pocket. No, that is not cool. It is not right. And it is us who must change our mindset and to treat politicians in the right way. We cannot and ought not to justify that kind of behavior. That has gone on for too long, Lofty. You're talking about $70 million. So when a political party or a politician receives millions of dollars from a benefactor, clearly that donor has some kind of influence over the politician. And on that basis, Lofty, we have that situation in Dominica. We have passport agents or CBI agents allegedly providing funding to the Dominican Labour Party. So clearly, they have some kind of control, some kind of influence. Now, why would they give back money to the Labour Party? Because of the favors. So, as they say, you scratch my back and I will scratch your back. Think about it.
True. Let's think about it.
Yeah.
Folks, it is already 8:15. We have 45 more minutes if you're there, but we're going to get to some of your comments on the live feed in just a bit. But the numbers to call into the program based on what you have been hearing so far, they are 449-3095, 449-3096, 3097, Digiline 616-4257. Those of you overseas and you may want to call in, your number 305-432-9624. Let's take a break. Let's do this one from the brother Peter Tosh. Really, conversation we're having. This one is very, very apt at this time.
Got to find a solution to this pollution.
It's a pollution indeed, huh?
Solution to this pollution.
And the United Progressive Party is talking solutions.
Got to find a solution to this pollution. Gotta find a solution to this pollution. The poor man, oh, the poor man, yeah. The poor man, oh,
Yes, folks, we know the poor man feel it out there. And that is why we are where we are. Because of the mismanagement, as Josh said earlier. So all the struggling people out there, the Dominicans out there, and the young people in particular, those of you who are jobless or underemployed, you need to put your act together, as it were, and join your efforts with the United Progressive Party and others to get rid of this political pollution, as Brother Tosh is saying.
Only the poor man, yeah. The poor man, oh, the poor man, no. Only me, yeah.
All right, folks, if you're tuning in at this time, you're listening to the United Progressive Party's program on Q95 for yet another Saturday, being the 9th of May, 2026, as they say, in the year of our Lord. We're having a very local and candid conversation here with the plight of Dominicans, the north, the south, the east, the west, the center. It's all over.
Be a solution to this pollution right now.
Where we are all feeling the squeeze.
Pollution. Proceeds won't help. You got to find a solution to these pollution.
And so we are offering some solutions indeed
For solution,
in terms of a message of hope.
only the poor man are feeling. Yeah.
Josh, we're going to get to the live feed in just a bit. There's some questions, comments here, the conversation that we're having here. Let me see if I could pull up at least one or two of the comments here, and we will continue on here because our folks on the live feed, you guys, and the listening audience, you're part of the conversation as well. Viva Mamu is writing here, Josh, says, Joshua, I am deeply saddened by the damage caused to your property and loss of business due to the fire. After all the challenges you have and are already facing in your life, this is especially heartbreaking setback. But we know that you're a strong person. Keep faith alive. He says, you're a strong person. Yes, wishing you strength. He says, he continues by saying here, yes, keep faith alive, wishing you strength, courage, and support as you continue forward one day at a time. Last line says, may brighter days find their way back to you, Josh. And it is signed, Viva.
Yeah, thank you, Viva. But it is well. I am well. It is well. You know, no sadness. I'm well. Yeah.
Then we have some other comments coming in here. Let me just read another one from Viva asking an important question here. It says, Lofty and Josh, in light of the many recent calls by socio-political gurus, he said, for increased collaboration, cooperation, coalition of opposition forces in Dominica, to what extent, and that is the question here, to what extent is the United Progressive Party coordinating, consulting with the other opposition forces, in particular the United Workers' Party?
Yeah, we're in discussions. We have had discussions, and we have informed that we have a common purpose, a common objective, and that is to work towards the improvement of life, to work towards the betterment of lives in Dominica, to say an improvement in the standard of living, to cause people to get jobs, good paying jobs, to be able to afford the increase in prices, to encourage self-reliance, because that's important, Lofty. We live in an import country. We need to encourage persons to produce, to get back into their backyard gardening, to provide the farmers with the support. So we're definitely speaking with other opposition forces in meeting that common goal. But of course, for us to be able to get that opportunity to make life better for Dominicans, we have to see a change of government. And we're definitely looking at ways in which we can win at least 11 constituencies in Dominica. And by no means the United Progressive Party will derail that course. If anything, we are adding value, and we are adding numbers, and we are doing our best to ensure that when the election is called, that the opposition will win the next general election. After all, we have a million reasons why we need that government to go.
Talking about adding value, Josh, this is our upcoming event this Thursday. Where you? Yes, this one.
Jim it, it's your turn. The United Progressive Party, alongside political leader attorney Joseph Francis and solid playmaker Loftus Duwan. Solid lineup of speakers will be at Esprit's Drive near the Convenient Plus Shopping Center, Thursday the 14th. Jim it comes alive from 7 p.m. Come hear the plans and hope for a better Dominica, the better you. The United Progressive Party, the party of the people, by the people, for the people. Come out, Dominicans, join the forces with the United Progressive Party as we help rescue and restore, even bring back Dominica from the brink of destruction. 7 p.m. on Esprit's Drive near the Convenient Cross store. Everyone will be in attendance. Don't miss your moment. Thursday coming, power must change hands, and the power is in your hands. All the way with the UPP massive whistle stop in Jim it, Thursday the 14th.
So yes, folks, that is our next stop in Jim it come this Thursday. I know you may not have caught it. Let me just play it one more time before we switch gear here.
Political power is about to change hands in Dominica. I'm not giving up. Jim it. It's your turn. The United Progressive Party, alongside political leader Attorney Joshua Francis and solid playmaker Loftus Dumont. Solid lineup of speakers will be at Esprit's Drive near the Convenient Plus Shopping Center, Thursday the 14th. Jim It comes alive from 7 p.m. Come hear the plans and look for a better Dominica, a better you. The United Progressive Party, the party of the people, by the people, for the people. Come out, Dominicans, join the forces with the United Progressive Party as we help rescue and restore, even bring back Dominica from the brink of abject destruction. 7 p.m. on Esprit's Drive near the Convenient Cross store. Everyone will be in attendance. Don't miss your moment. Thursday coming, power must change hands. The power is in your hands. All the way with the UPP massive whistle stop in Jim It, Thursday the 14th.
So yes, George, when you said that we are only adding value to the opposition cause, at least that is one such event where we'll be doing just that, putting our words into action this Thursday.
Oh yes, Lofty. This Thursday we're going to GMIT, and that is one of many meetings that we'll be holding in different parts of Dominica, and we'll be engaging the public. We'll be on the ground, listening to people, taking feedback, and keep improving on winning hearts and minds for the opposition.
Indeed. Some more comments here before we move on here. Folks, again, remember the numbers to call. They are 449-3095. Just in case you want to call here, 3096-3097. Sans Francis, I guess, Josh, that person is related to you in some way, shape, or form. Is saying here, I was just saying that to someone today. We are suffering in silence, but for some reason, we keep quiet.
Yeah, which is strange, Lofty, which is very strange because they say that pressure bursts pipes. And some people have been under severe pressure. And for one reason or the other, out of fear, they are being quiet. I think that we need to revive that slogan, Fear No More. That was a very popular slogan in the 90s. And that was the slogan of the United Workers' Party. And that is the slogan that helped the United Workers' Party to form government in 1995. And I think that we may need to revive that slogan. We may need to find something along that slogan.
Well, we may need to revive that slogan, but our slogan here at the United Progressive Party is together for progress. So after you fought that fear and you're out of that fear zone, then we now need to come together so that Dominicans can realize that much needed progress.
Oh yes, and definitely Lofty, and that's what we are pushing, togetherness, because if we put our minds together, we'll have a better understanding of why we need a change in Dominica, a change of direction, a change of leadership, change of policies, so that we can realize betterment for all of us, because the struggle is real out there, Lofty. I hope we get an opportunity to speak about this geothermal project, something that the Dominica Labour Party glorified, and they were dancing on stages and telling Dominicans, look, better days are ahead. We're going to be paying less. Lofty, after spending over $200 million, what is there to benefit? What are Dominicans really going to get out of this? I think you have a caller, Lofty.
Yes, caller, good evening to you. The UPP's program, you are on.
Yes, Lofty, me again. I'm glad you echo the sentiment about the UPP slogan, because you and I have a clarion call from long the unity, and the opposition divided like as in Antigua. Next week I want us to piggyback the first hour on division and unity, and that's who don't want to join will move ahead before Paul have to tell Saul about our slogan. They're using Fear No More because they don't see everybody in the same hand basket and they're falling on all of us. So I'm glad what you say. So echo the UPP slogan again. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, my brother, for your second call here again. Just for reiteration, the UPP slogan is together. Yes, together for progress. And I'm saying here now, I'm adding together for the much needed progress of Dominica and Dominicans by extension. Joanne Green on the live feed here. Another comment here says, Viva Mamo, better days are ahead for Josh. He is a blessed man and courageous. Even the battle he was faced with for the week did not keep him down. He will continue to rise in faith in Jesus' name. That is what Joanne Green has said here.
Oh, yes. And that definitely captures Joshua Francis. I'm a warrior. I'm a fighter. I was born for that. Greatness never comes without trials and tribulations. The very diamond that we pay for, this expensive diamond, it had to go through the fire. And generally in life, for us to get to the apex, sometimes we have to go through the fire.
True.
And I go through my trials gracefully. And those trials have only made me better. It has not taken away my spirit. I am in no way, form, or shape a lesser person. I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm more prepared to stand for Dominica. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not derailed. We're very well. We are doing well. It is well. And we are on our way, Lofty, to help salvage Dominica.
True. Viva Mamo comes back here and writes, Lofty, we know that the UPP recently held a public meeting in Warner. Now you are going to Jimit. He says here, or she says here, would you confirm that you will be UPP's candidate for the Mahu constituency? Again, Viva, he or she, whoever you are, Loftus Dura has always been on the front line. Loftus Dura continue to be on the front line. And so I've always presented myself for the opportunity to serve Dominica in one way, shape, or form. And so these meetings, it's a sort of breeding ground, testing area, as it were. If the people of that constituency decide, Lofty, we give you the nod, then I will so oblige. But for now, Viva, then I'm on the ground doing the work. I hope that satisfies you.
I hope so too. I think, there is some kind of urgency in declaration of candidates for the opposition in the minds of several people.
And rightly so, Rightly
Yeah.
so, because we are the 11th hour, but, it's a process.
Right.
It's a process.
Right. And, some people tend to think, and maybe lesser now because we have been repeating ourselves, that our presence in the political arena is to undermine all the opposition parties. And as I said earlier, that is far from the truth. We are definitely not trying to undermine anybody. If anything, we are a party of construction. We are positive, and we are always ready and prepared to work with others for the betterment of Dominica. And for us, this is real life situation. This is not a philosophical battle or a merely political battle. We're on the ground. We're seeing the realities. People are suffering. People having difficulties paying their bills. People are in their 30s and still have difficulties in paying for an apartment. And those who have mortgages, some of the debts are considered to be bad debts. You saw the IMF report that says that Dominica has a high percentage of bad debts. And the reason is because people are struggling. People don't have the money. We have a very huge working poor population in Dominica. The public service, the main employer in Dominica, Lofty, you can look at the pay slip of several public servants at the end of the month, and you will see that the net income or disposable income is less than $100. I have looked at a few of them myself, and sometimes I'll be appalled. I'm like, look at this man, he's earning over $2,000, and he walks away with $146 at the end of the month because of deductibles. X amount go towards his car loan for those with cars.
Yeah.
X amount goes towards his mortgage, and then he has his personal loan. I mean, Lofty, you have seen the rise of Big Edge and Fast Cash, because some people do not even have the criteria. They cannot meet the criteria to get a loan. So they have to run to these financial institutions and to pay 30% interest. It shows the desperation. At the end of the month, some people, they get paid and they just do not have enough to meet the ends for the remainder of the month, and they are forced to take a loan.
It was about 20 years ago. It was about there. A nurse and I, she's retired now. God bless you, ma'am. I know if you're listening, you'll recognize what I'm going to say next. But 20-something years ago, that nurse looked at a Dominica situation, economic-wise, and she said, Lofty, I am in the system. She was in the system then. And she said, we have what you said a while ago, a number of people in the system. She wasn't talking about private businesses, in the system, who she considered then to be the working poor. In that they're working, yes, but when they get whatever it is at the end of the month, it is really and truly next to nothing. They could not and cannot survive on that. And she told me that 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
So let us put that into context and think about now our reality.
Yeah, it's a very stark reality. It's sharp. It is very sharp. I am aware of many persons who have, in our minds, big houses, nice cars, but they are cash strapped. They do not have the monies. Now, the IMF report, the last report that the IMF published, suggests that we still have a huge saving capacity in Dominica. That may reflect a saving propensity. People like to put money in the bank. But let's look at who have the money in the bank and for what purpose. A select few, they have a lot of money, and it makes our bank appear to have huge cash reserves. But generally that does not mean that ordinary Dominicans have money. They don't.
What for example, the airport that has been built, what is the effect now on Dominicans? We're not talking about Dominicans at large. The East, where that airport, that project is being done as we speak. What is the effect of the people who are in the general area, Marigot, Wesley, Concord, Woodford Hill, those areas? Are these people positively affected in terms of their pocket now by the construction of that airport?
Much less than what we were told. I mean, again, the Labour Party, several years ago were on public platforms dancing away and glorifying the idea that an international airport was going to be constructed and everybody who would want a job would find a job. They told Dominicans that the economy was going to be transformed. We are going to the next level. Lofty today in real time, we're not experiencing that, again because of mismanagement, because of the lack of foresight of the Prime Minister and his cabinet. They entered into an arrangement with MMC, who then subcontracted the construction of the international airport to CR5. But the terms and conditions under which that contract was made is to allow CR5 to bring a lot of the laborers, a lot of the skilled workers from China. So what does that mean? It means that where, as an example, 100 Dominicans were supposed to be employed in the construction of the international airport, we now have 40 Dominicans because the other 60 Dominicans are coming from abroad. We have Chinese, we have Spanish personnel, we have Haitians. So where locals would have received that money, we now have foreigners.
True.
Now, those foreigners do not spend the money in Dominica. You have something called as a multiplier effect in economics, whereby when a dollar enters into circulation, it goes through a shop, as an example, a retail shop. That person receives that dollar. He goes and he puts 50 cents in the bank, and the other 50 cents he goes by Whitchurch and he shops. So the bank now has more money available to provide loans, and more loans provided for investments means more opportunities, more money is generated, money makes money. But with this situation at Marigot, the multiplier effect is smaller than we anticipated because of capital outflow, because of the ejection of monies out of circulation. And therefore, that has to some extent contracted the growth of Dominica's economy. So the GDP, the IMF says that our economic growth will increase, but instead of 4% that we realized 24 to 25 or 25 to 26, it will grow by 2 to 3%, which means that the GDP will increase, or economic growth will increase by a declining rate. And that is one of the reasons. Now, think about it, Lofty. You have these Chinese nationals. They do not buy food here in Dominica because they bring in containers of food. So that is money that was supposed to be spent in our local economy is not being spent. They do not go to the shops. They don't go out on Friday nights to patronize the bars. Do you see Chinese in Wesley or Woodford Hill or Kalinago territory buying anything from any bar? You don't get that. Had it been locals with monies in their pockets, there's a likelihood they would be going to patronize those bars and restaurants, and therefore more money would be in circulation. Do you see the Chinese national renting from locals? No, because they built their residential units. So there's no need for them to go and rent. Again, that is monies that would have been spent in our economy that is being withheld. Then even livestock, they do not buy meat because they have their own livestock. They don't go in the market to buy fish and to buy pork, or to buy beef.
So basically, Josh, in a nutshell, we can say that the government handed the Chinese an exclusive sweetheart deal.
Well, yes, and hopefully on one of the Saturday nights, we're going to look at contracts that this government has entered into a lot of sweetheart deals where the policymakers have been benefiting. They get monies under the table. But in terms of the macroeconomic welfare of Dominica, we have been given bad deals. And we are left to believe that some of those policymakers are more interested in themselves and their friends than to really develop Dominica. And the construction of the international airport is an example.
Sure.
So in our minds, most Dominicans are excited about well, I wouldn't say excited. I don't think anybody, goes to bed and, thinking that this international airport is going to transform our lives overnight, because clearly the construction of the airport has not done that. But somehow some people think that at the end of the construction of the international airport, there's going to be some kind of economic transformation. There's going to be some kind of economic excitement, and there'll be hustling in Dominica and bustling, and more people will be making money. The sad reality, Lofty, that's not going to happen anytime soon. It is not going to happen anytime soon. We can look at St. Vincent as a case study. We can ask questions. What is happening in St. Vincent after the construction of the airport? How much economic growth it brought? You can see, had Vincentians been excited about the construction of the international airport, they would not have changed the government. And one of the reasons why we have a change of administration in St. Vincent is because, again, people felt the price of food has been on the rise, the cost of living has been on the rise, and the quality of their lives have been deteriorating. And Dominicans should be even in a better position to understand that reality, because our disposable income has been on a steady decline. Last year, there was an announcement by the government to increase minimum wage. And in certain areas, yes, there was an increase in minimum wage. But what has been the result? So small businesses, take for example, a cashier moved from $7.50 an hour to $9.50. So what that has done basically is increase the cost of doing business for an entrepreneur. He has 3 employees. One is a cashier, one is whatever. Minimum wage has increased. So now what has happened? He's not selling more. He's actually selling less, but he has to pay more.
Yeah.
So you see the reality in Dominica, Lofty. And to compound the situation, a lot of those companies which were given government contracts are foreign entities. So the shareholders themselves, they do not keep their monies there. Their monies go out, capital flight.
Shipped out.
So we have a situation where government has entered into sweetheart deals for the benefit of the policymakers and the political party at the expense of the country. We also have a situation where, because things are so sad in Dominica economically, we have had a massive brain drain, whereby our skilled persons have been leaving our shores.
And just before Josh, you go to the brain drain aspect of things, well, I'm not a member of the Truckers Association in Dominica, that's the TIPA Truckers Association, but I can reveal tonight that I don't know if when you remember, Josh, that the TIPA Truckers Association held a protest at Canefield, that is on the Eolibla Highway, for a better condition in terms of the hauling of materials and whatever it is to that site in Wesley, the airport site. And a number of the truckers there, they were charged. I have in a truck as well. My driver was charged as well. So I had to appear in court a number of times. So from 2024, it was only last Friday, being the 1st of May, 2026, so 2 years on, that the court got letters from the AG's office, I'm being told, from the police, the prosecutor, that these matters were all dropped. So no longer are these charges hanging over my head and the other truckers who were involved in that quest. They call it a protest, in the quest for much more meaningful or gainful ways to gain from that airport project that is now being constructed in Dominica.
Yeah. So Lofty, that is an example, because again, when the contracts were given for the construction of the international airport, it appeared too little attention was given to our own people.
None at all. In terms of the truckers, none at all. And basically, we had to go on the street to ask for it, demand it, and under pressure, something came out of it. Still not meaningful, but at least the truckers, even today, are, carrying cement or whatever it is up at that site at some kind of rate. But as I said before, the case in terms of the charge that have been hanging for 2 years plus over the heads of the truckers for just demanding the right.
Mhm.
That case was quashed, and so a number of the truckers then, they are no longer in court for that matter, including yours truly.
Yeah, well, Lofty, I hope that the truckers are not thinking that the government has done them a favor. Because sometimes Dominicans can be gullible, where in situations like that, they may think, oh, wow, the government has been good to us. And they may use that as a reason to support the government. And that is ridiculous.
And again, Josh, we know timing in politics is everything.
Well, yes. And,
so that bogus charge has been hanging over this trucker's head for 2 years. Just it was in October 24. We are in May 26. So just about 2 years now. And so we are hearing now about possibly a snap election. So we have to even ask the question or inquire why now the dismissal of these bogus charges.
Well, you just said it, Lofty. It may very well be a political move. A political card may have been played.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. But Lofty, when you look at this situation,
but you want the brain drain situation before.
Yeah, we were just analyzing the international airport, and we were talking about capital flight, meaning the outflow of Dominica's resources, and we're looking at it from an income point of view as far as the workforce on the construction site of the international airport. And then we move to the brain drain situation, because again, that is part of outflow. We are talking about resources leaving our state. And you can look at it from an intellectual point of view, as far as our doctors, our nurses, amongst other skilled people. Lofty, last year, a couple of consultants left our hospital on the basis that their salaries were too small. You're talking about medical doctors who found it hard to survive here. So imagine ordinary Dominicans, and we're looking at a Dominica where we have very little economic activity in the rural places in Dominica. Lofty, I don't know when last you passed for Casabros, but if you pass for Casabros and you look at Casabros based on how it was, you realize that Casabros now is a shadow of his former self. Even within the Kalinago territory, when you pass through in the past, you would, be able to buy ground provisions along the road, buy your fruits. Today, you're not seeing that. The question is why?
True.
The older farmers are gone. The government failed to provide incentives, failed to provide assistance, failed to motivate the farmers who are around, and some of them left the farming and came to town to do security.
All right. Thank you, Josh. Well said, well executed. Folks, it is already 17 minutes to the hour of 9 o'clock. So in the next 17 minutes, we have to pack our bags and make some tracks. But Josh, I would really beseech of us here to just let us leave the program tonight, leave the people out there, the suffering people, as we said, on a very high note, a message of hope. So if you can dovetail the last 15 minutes of program to help inspire, help encourage Dominicans to keep that hope alive. That is what I would really like us to do. Viva Mamo is very persistent tonight, Josh. A person is saying, good answer, Lofty. Very diplomatic with an exclamation mark. I did not expect any different answer from your candidacy. Keep doing what you're doing on the ground. One may just be of the view that at this juncture, when elections is drawing nigh, declaring yourself as a potential candidate could be prudent, that person says. In this regard, is Josh thinking of being the UPP candidate in Roseau South or the Kalinago territory? Viva is on some sort of, what you call it?
He's on a mission.
He's on a mission tonight. She's on a mission tonight.
Yeah, he wants disclosure.
Yes. Your take, Josh, based on your candidacy.
Well, I mean, again, Lofty, we don't take politics as a game. We're not into gamesmanship, neither that we are in showmanship. This is a very serious pursuit. Our objective is to cause a change in government, to bring a change in leadership. And this is not a superficial or nominal change we are looking for. We are looking for real change. We are looking for a situation where leaders can put their heads together to formulate policies to better Dominica. And on that ground, we have identified some of the problems that we've had in Dominica and some of the reasons why we have not been able to enjoy a higher standard of living. And one of the reasons is because the government, the Labour Party government, never focused on production. It is clear. You look at the economic data and you'd realize from since 1998, we have had a steady decline in exports. Of course, there were little changes along the way, but generally, Dominica's production has plummeted on the Dominican Labour Party. It has not done well, and the government itself never really focused on production to this date. We have no agro-processing in the rural places. The farmers who were producing, as mentioned, some of them, many of them have left. The older ones have passed on. The younger people have not been encouraged to enter into farming, and the government has not done, or in some cases, absolutely nothing to cause the rural economies to grow. So, in the absence of the productive machinery in those rural places, we have seen a collapse of rural economy in Dominica. And even in our urban area, what has this government done? We have seen a steady increase in custom duties on certain production goods. We have seen our utility bill hasn't really changed. I mean, as I said earlier, we have expended over $200 million on a geothermal project that may bring just a 17% decrease in our electricity bill. That is what was said. And as I said, at some point, hopefully we can analyze that situation. Our utility bills are high. The prices of our foods continue to increase because this government never focused on self-reliance. We have Guyana as an example, a country that can boast it is the first 100% self-reliant country in the world. Even if we were 20%, that would have been some kind of progress. We're heavily dependent on imports.
True.
With a UPP government and opposition government, opposition forced entering into a new government, we definitely will see a significant shift in policies. We will become job creators, production creators. We want to see a Dominica where every hand is on deck, where every hand is in the soil or on a machine or on a computer, because everybody should have that right to make money and to make money that can take care of himself and herself, take care of his health bills, be able to maintain his homes, be able to send his children to school. That is Dominica we want.
True. Josh, let me put on the journalistic cap now. Viva Mamo, I'm reiterating his comment or her comment. Kalinago or Roseau South for Joshua? Re-election.
Well, I love the people of Roseau South and I love the people of the Kalinago territory. The Kalinago people, as we know, are the first people of Dominica. They are the roots of Dominica. They are the epicenter of Dominica. They are the core of Dominica. They are the nucleus of Dominica. No offense to anybody, but the Kalinago people bear something special. It's a reservation and the heritage, a common history. And we have seen the Kalinago people being uplifted in many different areas. They are more respected as we speak. We have a Kalinago president, and we have seen Kalinagos performing exceptionally well in academia and other areas of life. And I am happy and proud to say that I'm Kalinago. My mom, I don't know what percentage, whether it's 100% or in her 90s, but she clearly resembles, a pure Kalinago. And I have a huge Kalinago family. And in more recent times, Lofty, I've been spending time. They have been meeting with the Kalinagos. I have been interacting with them. I have been listening to them. And I can tell you that Kalinago people are very resilient. And had it not been their resilience, there would have been more Kalinagos people crying or having their heads down. Because this government has done very little to empower the Kalinago people, to make the Kalinago people be motivated and to be more self-determined. And that is where my leadership comes in. I believe that historically, Kalinago people are self-determined. They are very resilient. They're very strong. They are very independent. I think this Dominican Labour Party government has, this empowered the people, have made them less independent and more dependent, and that has to be reversed because that is taken away from the Kalinago people.
And so you're saying, Josh, based on all what you said there, given the opportunity, you'd give it a nod in the Kalinago territory to be their representative.
Well, I leave it
to add value to their life.
Right. I leave it to the public to extrapolate or to make inferences from what I'm saying. At this stage, I'm not prepared to make declarations or to give disclosures on exactly where people are running. Time will come when we will do those things. But what I can say is that I'm connected with the Kalinago people, and I will continue to stand with them, by them, and for them. And I love what I'm doing. I'm giving back to the Kalinago territory. So it's wonderful.
Nep Packet, thank you, Josh. Saying here, my political mentor, Mr. Francis, I hope that God gives you strength in this rough time. He says, I'm now finding out that your place of business was destroyed in the recent fire. He ends by saying, Jah guidance still. That's
Yeah.
from Nep.
Yeah, thank you, Nep. I wish if Nep was still on the island to be part of what we are doing. I know his soul is still connected with
social
Dominica.
media,
Yes.
the globe is connected. So we will invite Nep on some sort of discussion sometime pretty
Yeah,
soon.
definitely. Young intellectual and continues to love Dominica and to love people. And I like that about Nep.
A brilliant
Yes,
brother.
yes, indeed.
Josh, we have like what, 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes. They're about to go. As I said, let us just continue to, pound that notion that hey, there's hope out there, and let Dominicans understand that the power is in our hands. We have to do what we have to do at the end of the day to resolve or help solve, as it were, our many issues that have plagued us for the past 25 years.
Oh yes, and believe me, we are pregnant with issues. We have a lot of issues. We have issues with the administration of our health system. We have issues with our security administration, with fire department administration. We have issues in job creation. We have a government that has not been able to cause an economy to provide opportunities for young people. Hence the reason why we have significant brain drain. People like Ned Packet, a very talented man, had Dominica, been grounded on a more fertile economic ground, he would not have left
He
the
would have been
States.
here,
He would
yes.
have been here. I'm sure his soul is here. Like many other Dominicans, they would have preferred to be in their country, to enjoy the fruits, to be able to go to Meru to have a bath, be able to go to the hot springs and enjoy life. But because of the economic hardship that confronts many Dominicans, they prefer to go out there. So we want to create a Dominica where jobs are available, people are able to pay for your medical bills, people are able to buy foods, to grow food. That is something that we have to encourage, Lofty.
Mhm.
We really have to encourage people to go back to the soil, make their own gardens, because things are not getting any better. But we have an opportunity to stand out. We have been talking about Dominica being the food baskets decades after decades. In 2011, our prime minister told us that the government of Dominica was going to invest in 2 ships to transport our agricultural produce from Dominica to our neighbors. That has never happened. We have never invested in transportation to facilitate our farmers to get their produce out there. So Dominica continues to have that potential to be the food basket. Dominica is blessed with abundant water. We talk about oil. Right now, we have a war that is centered on production of fuel, of crude oil, but we will have water wars in time to come. The most important resource after life, after the breath that's in our nose, will be water. It is right now, but we take it for granted, especially in Dominica.
And a lot of people, Josh, just to add to what you're saying, they are of the mindset, and I am sort of gradually starting to believe that the Chinese presence here, maybe they may be after that much needed resource that you're talking about in the not too distant future, which is water.
Yeah, but love to think about it. Right now you'll get a bottle of water. You pay probably $3 for half a liter of bottled water. But if you get a piece of gold, with that length in bottle, you're going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for it. I mean, we just give it a value based on our perception. But as far as survival is concerned, gold can never be more valuable than water. And in time,
matter of fact, the Wasco has it right. Water is life.
It is life. We just take it for granted. And Dominica has a value of water that has a much higher value than gold and crude oil. And in time to come, when we have an increase in desertification, which is happening because of La Nina and climate change, water will be respected more, to be appreciated more, and the value on water will increase.
True.
Do we want to wait for us to get to that point? I mean, let us have a vision here now. We have the water resource. We need to have, water ambassadors. We need a government that can put a board together to manage, even outside of the WASCO, to manage our water resources, our waterways, our water catchment in a much better way.
True. All right, Josh, we're about that time, winding up time in the next 5 minutes. Let's just give the people out there a reminder of our scheduled activity for this Thursday, May, that is, at Jimit. This one.
Power is about to change hands in Dominica. Jimit, it's your turn. The United Progressive Party, alongside political leader Attorney Joseph Francis and solid playmaker Loftus Dumont. Solid lineup of speakers will be at Esprit's Drive near the Convenient Plus Shopping Center, Thursday the 14th. Jimit comes alive from 7 p.m. Come hear the plans and look for a better Dominica, the better you, the United Progressive Party, the party of the people, by the people, for the people. Come out, Dominicans, join the forces with the United Progressive Party as we help rescue and restore, even bring back Dominica from the brink of abject destruction. 7 p.m. on Esprit's Drive near the Convenient Plus store. Everyone will be in attendance. Don't miss your moment. Thursday coming, power must change hands. The power is in your hands. All the way with the UPP massive whistle stop in Jimit, Thursday the 14th.
I'm not giving up. Today I never give up before. It's not in my
Political power is about to change hands in Dominica.
I'm not giving up.
Jimit, it's your turn. The United Progressive Party, alongside political leader Attorney Joseph Francis and solid playmaker Loftus Dumont. Solid lineup of speakers will be at Esprit's Drive near the Convenient Plus Shopping Center, Thursday the 14th. Jimit comes alive from 7 p.m. Come hear the plans and look for a better Dominica, the better you, the United Progressive Party, the party of the people, by the people, for the people. Come out, Dominicans, join the forces with the United Progressive Party as we help rescue and restore, even bring back Dominica from the brink of abject destruction. 7 p.m. on Esprit's Drive near the Convenient Plus store. Everyone will be in attendance. Don't miss your moment. Thursday coming, power must change hands. The power is in your hands. All the way with the UPP massive whistle stop in Jimit, Thursday the 14th.
I'm not giving up. Today I never give up before. Yeah. Living in the positive.
So, folks, you just heard the ad, eh? Yes, the United Progressive Party will be this Thursday. That is the 14th, that is. We'll be in the Jimit area on that little avenue, that little lane called Esprit's Drive in the vicinity of this Convenience Plus supermarket. So those of you in Jimit, the only place you got to be on Thursday night is at that spot. Come, let us hear from you. You hear from us. And together for progress, we will do it as a people. So that is how we want to leave you guys tonight on a very positive note. From this one, from our own brother, Nasio Fontaine. Good evening to you, my bro. He calls this one living in the positive. Let's take a minute or two of this one, and then we'll ask our brother Joshua Francis here, the leader of the United Progressive Party, to wind it down.
Living in the positive. Let not your hearts be troubled. Why you go your tears and fears.
So all of you called tonight, all of you in the listening and viewing audience, thank you very much as always for your eyes and ears each and every time. We came with the information, the much needed information, that is. Your duty / your job is to go spread that information.
Even when my
To all those at the hospital at this time, good evening to you. And all the home for the aged around Dominica, good evening to you as well. Our senior citizens, those of you who are behind bars at this time, yes, just keep living in the positive, as this brother tells us in song.
Feeling the positive. And I know good.
You may be home not feeling well at this time.
Reserve amidst the battle. And I know love overcome it.
Whatever ailment you may be suffering with at this time, a financial one, a spiritual one, the loss of a loved one, a family issue, whatever it is, we at UPP empathize with you in a very, very big way. Just keep living in the positive, that is. Josh, it's about that time when we have to pack our bags and make some tracks. Your final comments,
Yeah, Lofty, I just want to thank you for being here with me tonight. And also I want to say thank you to all our listeners. You made the program special, and we're inviting you to join us again next Saturday. And of course, we will be having this public meeting in Warner on Thursday. Jimit, sorry.
We're done with Warner already.
Yes, we're done with Warner. Yes, we'll be in Jimit on Thursday. Please join us. And I want to say to you that better days are ahead.
True.
That the best days for Dominica are ahead, but not with the Dominica Labour Party government. It starts with the removal of the Dominica Labour Party government. And for that to happen, we have to be motivated and motivate others to put ourselves in position to vote the Dominica Labour Party out. Hence the importance of confirming to vote. If you have not confirmed, please go to a confirmation center and make sure that you confirm your name on the voters list. If you have anyone in your household who has not registered to vote, please get him or her registered to vote. That is very important. We are on a journey to take our country back, and so shall it be. One by one, we are adding the numbers to ensure that on polling day, whenever that is, at the next general election, we are going to cause a change. We are going to take our country back. We are going to realize our dreams. We are going to live in better days. So please continue to support us in whatever way. Pray for us. If you can provide financial support, do so. You can go online, www.uppdominica.com. You can register as a member. You can become a donor. If you want to provide support intellectually, you can do so. You can contact myself, Lofty, and any other member of the United Progressive Party.
Yeah.
Know that better days are ahead of us. So let us do it together for progress. God bless you, and let us continue to stand for Dominica. It is worth it.
Josh, thank you, my brother, for your very encouraging, very inspiring words here as we must leave here tonight. Just some more comments here on the feed before I leave. Susanna Roll is saying here, thank you for your sacrifice. And I'm thinking she's referring to you, Josh. Brother Peter Carbon, former Minister of Agriculture in the United Workers' Party days. He says here, greetings, my friend. May God give you the strength to rebuild your practice after your losses from the fire. Joanne Green is writing here, good night from Divine Victory Elderly Care Home Agency and Daycare. Brother Julius Corbett writes, Joshua, God loves you, a leader servant, and that's who you are. That is it for us here. We want to leave it on the positive. Joseph, that is not the place and time for your comment here tonight. We are leaving on a very positive note indeed. Thank you very much, though, for your comment indeed. Yes? So to all of us at the UPP, thank you very much. On that note, we bid you a good night.
Yeah. Living in the positive. And I know good, we conquer evil. Jah is your Mr.